Blessings, my brothers and sisters. I have come before you to share with you a healing, to share with you a meditation which is designed to heal an element of your being that, let me give you a little background. I don't want to talk too much and make this a discourse. I want to get to the practice that I've been directed to share with you. I am Stephen Weiss. I am an osteopathic physician and a healer, and I operate a mostly tertiary level chronic pain healing practice in New York City. Very physical based, very hands-on, although really I would be very quick to say that it's energetic in root. And even though we do, the work is based on sort of a hybrid integration of osteopathic manual practice with energy medicine, and a number of ceremonial elements. So even though it's physical, I use the physical as an on-ramp to access energetic space. And I would call the work I do visionary healing in nature, and that if the adult body holds the memory and the geometry of everything that happened in the embryo from conception on, that geometry is how we heal and regulate ourselves, remember ourselves. And that geometry is where trauma goes and creates, almost absorbs the trauma, creates an imbalance and prevents us from healing. And it is in the remembering of the perfection in which that early embryonic geometry, of how we were created, gets reestablished as an adult, that the root of healing. In my experience, and I've been doing this for 33, 34 years, tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. And I tend to see people who have fallen through the cracks. So the things that I do and the things that I've learned are things that for tens of thousands of people represent the difference between healing and not healing. So in this time of the pandemic, I've been in Southwest Florida on an island off of Fort Myers called Sanibel. And my practice has gone from physical base to a number of people who have a spiritual practice, who wanted healings and recognized that I could not put my hands on them. So before I maybe have done one or two remote healings, and in those remote healings, through a meditative, contemplative space, we can access the non-ordinary reality that we normally access through the physical body. And we directly access it through this contemplative, meditative state. And it seems to have its own principles and own laws of treatment. But now I've been doing anywhere from 4 to 8 a day over these last 3 months. And I've learned many new things. And many of the things that I've treated before have shown up in this time of the pandemic differently and did not respond the same way that they did before. And there's certain elements that have been consistent with everybody. And this piece that I'm going to share in a meditation has been a teaching for me, has been an opportunity for me to shift tweak my paradigm, my algorithm of how I work differently, because I've encountered things that I had not seen before and things that I've seen before that are treating completely differently. Enough said. At the root of our being, at the root of our energetic spiritual configuration is a polarity. Many cultures, traditional cultures based upon a healing system, based upon non-ordinary energetic reality, have recognized this. The Egyptians have referred to this as the breathing tube that connects Sky Mother and Earth Father, a different orientation. I've learned this in North America on Turtle Island as in native parlance is what in some of the tribal elders at whose feet I sat called the taproots. Long, like a taproot is a kind of a root as opposed to a fibrous root. Taproots drive vertically. And a carrot and a parsnip are taproots. Douglas fir, as a huge tree, is a taproot tree. Cedar, which is also a huge tree, is a fibrous tree. Its roots go horizontal. Doug fir goes boom. And my brother Mark in Santa Fe has come to these observations, these realizations by sitting with the medicine of an ancient Douglas fir tree in the Pecos wilderness. I derived mine by applying an osteopathic treatment approach to suddenly realizing that I was holding the pelvic floor, I was observing these large, like stalactites and stalagmites, deeply engaging, and that when that pelvic treatment finished, the vertical and skyward and earthward roots balanced somewhere in the heart. And they've been in the periphery for my practice for a long time. Now, in everybody I've seen, they've been off. And all of the healing that has been supported has come as a result of learning a new way to resource, reconfigure, and realign our taproots with the embrace between sky and earth in which the universe is formed. So our little taproots appear to have something to do with helping to create space for this incarnation, the formation of the being and the body and the consciousness of this little earth walk, as opposed to the macro taproot, which has to do with the pristine nature of the embrace between earth and sky. As I treated this and watched profound differences occur through the body as the result of this in my own meditations, my guidance, my source of spiritual counsel, if you would, began to instill in me the importance of, in this time, the destruction of something that doesn't serve us and the requirement of reconfiguring it and reconfiguring us to earth and sky in a holy way. I don't know whether it is the earth and sky have reconfigured and are requiring a different connection, or that our culture and our history have created a one-off of this taproot embrace, and that needs to be redone. It no longer serves us. Regardless, I've been directed to teach this guided meditation, to carry you all through it. I've made it public, so it be openly shared. If it serves you and you feel like it is useful, do it once or twice a day, perhaps, for a little while until you feel like, okay, I'm done with this. But share it with as many people. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page for the Altar of Creation, which is my school. It'll be on my own personal Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube. And I'll send it around. What I was told in my last meditation is that we will heal the world one reconfigured taproot system at a time. So I don't want to talk anymore. Find your sits bones, get comfortable, close your eyes. Allow your crown to reach up and continue to reach up as you contact Sky Father. It's interesting to me that in the Egyptian model, it was Sky Mother, Earth Father, and on Turtle Island, this place where we are making our homes in North America, it's Sky Father, Earth Mother. And what is the embrace of Sky Father and Earth Mother? Now extend your lower taproot from your heart downward through the diamond of your pelvic floor, and kind of like an elevator going down, allow your consciousness to drop into the earth and extend and reach for the earth until you feel her engage and begin to embrace you, offer you energy. From your heart upward through the sky root, extend your consciousness at the same time, reaching for Sky Father until you feel an engagement with Sky Father and a blessing and an energy from Sky Father flowing into your heart where it meets the embrace from Earth Mother. My practice, my clinical experience has demonstrated to me that the integrity of this relationship, this system, both the structure of the taproots and sort of this primordial pool or cell or lake in the place where our heart would normally be, connecting upward into the heavens and downward to the earth in a holy way so that it is alive and breathing and carrying the blessings of earth and sky, which meet and embrace in our hearts. In this time, what I've discovered is that nothing else in the body, either at the physical level or the energetic spiritual level, none of the sacred geometry with which I work, will configure, will heal if this taproot relationship isn't balanced and intact. I'll call it the taproot system from now. And the ways that I've worked to heal it successfully and help it achieve and support balance have not worked. And so through guidance and trial and error, I'm going to talk you into, chances are, if you're not one of my patients or you're not one of the patients of my students or graduates, that in you, as well as everybody else that I've seen, and myself as well, this relationship is off. It's imbalanced. You're not being, again, what is the nature of Sky Father, Earth Mother? Is it the embrace between divine feminine, divine masculine? Is it the idea of duality, like in Shivaic Tantra, that we hold the duality so that we can transcend into non-duality? We hold, is it that we can hold the paradox without being swayed? In this system, this primordial embrace, it's important to remember that there is no race. There is no black, white, yellow, red. We are perfect and we are one. There is no gender. These taproots, embryologically, were formed before at the embryonic period when we differentiate into gender. Keeping in mind that during the entire 8 or so weeks of the embryonic developmental period, every embryo of the human species is intact, regardless ultimately of any genetic programming, which will take place later. But when the embryo is fully formed, there is no genetics, there is no sex, there is no race, just purity, pure expression of the human species. So we're sitting here. We've allowed our consciousness to extend and embrace earth and sky. And we are going to reconfigure it. We are allowing it to reset and reform. So extend our consciousness like two massive spirit hands up into the heavens to the very top of the taproot and down into the earth. Two hands extending up, extending down. If there are more than two hands that which wish to come forward to assist you, bow to them in gratitude and ask them to join. And slowly, slowly, from the very top and the very bottom of the taproot system, this pair of hands or these hands will slowly begin compressing the two ends of the taproot together. While this is occurring, you might say, well, imbalanced. In your meditation, I'm having you extend yourself into the perfection of the taproots as they were originally formed. We are formed within the space of an embrace between sky and earth. That embrace remains there in its perfection throughout our lives, although our access to that embrace can become damaged through trauma. I'm not going into the imperfections and distortions caused by the trauma and the imbalance of this. We're compressing the perfect expression of our taproots. And while I'm talking and going into this, surrender into the compression of the upper taproot and the lower taproot. And as this compression is progressing, you may feel a little bit of pressure in your heart, in your chest, in your cells. For our bodies are formed, our embryos were formed within the matrix of this taproot system. And progressing and proceeding at its own pace, that taproot convergence is nonetheless proceeding and progressing. Our large spirit hands are pushing down from above and lifting up from below. Not violently, not without listening. Everything proceeding at a natural organic tempo. There's usually a little bit of compression and then wait for the body to catch up and then accept the fact that there's more. And we're not asking the taproots to do something that they're not trying to do on their own. This is how the taproots are struggling to reseat, to reconfigure and rebreathe themselves. So we're merely inviting the body to do something that it knows how to do and that it's already trying to do. We're just showing up and working in support of its own process. And we continue to converge and compress, slowly, slowly. And we start to feel the space in our hearts, a little bit like a crucible, where the convergent pressure is starting to create like a little glowing, if you will, a little pool of light that's starting to light up and glow with the intensity of the convergence, which even as I speak is happening more and more. And as the system starts to converge in the space, it's not our heart, nor is it our heart chakra. It's upstream, if you will, in consciousness. It's this primordial glowing orb. As the taproots now converge and start to compress into this orb, we feel with the compression, it's a little bit like putting the cap on a crucible and turning up the heat. The heat and pressure are being applied by the compression and convergence of the taproots into a single orb. And the single orb of light is being compressed more and more in all directions. Slowly, slowly, to where it becomes a single point of light. In the space where my heart lies, the space where Sky Father and Earth Mother meet. And we continue to converge that single point of light, holding the space until that single point of light disappears. And there is apparently nothing there. We've done the work of the convergence, we've done the work of the compression, and the disappearance of that single point of light from the orb that formed from that sort of lake or pool that formed from the taproots is the work of this ceremony. Now that we've done the work of the ceremony, we hold on for dear life. Nothing happens. The essence of the taproot has essentially disappeared. For lack of a better word, it's gone upstream. It's gone into a space where it can actually be remade, reconfigured, reconnected. We might feel things in our bodies, might feel certain kinesthetic clues, we might feel unusual sort of twitchings. It might be uncomfortable. Stay with it. Hold on for dear life. And then in the space where that little point of light disappeared, we start to feel light flowing back in. We start to feel light filling that space. And it's almost as if now the crucible melts and is blown apart. Almost feels like two parachutes holding this space where my crown and my pelvic floor are, the space in which the seventh chakra and first chakras connect. And then suddenly from that expanded point of light into an orb, these crystalline stalactites, stalagmites, if you want to think of them as roots, as parsnips growing up and down, start to grow and extend simultaneously through the pelvic floor, simultaneously through the crown up. And holding the system, we hold the pool or this cell in the middle, and we hold the root that's growing into the sky and the root that's growing into the earth. But they're larger, they're more pristine, they're fully formed and vibrant and breathing with a long, slow breath. And you feel the extension of the roots to sky and earth. And now we don't have to reach with our consciousness. The roots themselves are consciousness, and they are connected to sky and earth. So as they extend, we suddenly feel this incoming flood of sky and earth entering us, entering our hearts. And a system now, earth, sky, and this center pool, if you will, connected, breathing, alive, awake, reconfigured, reconnected. As breath comes in, we feel it swell like a tide coming into a tidal basin. So much beauty, so much richness, so much chi. It almost hurts. Like the way that a beautiful sun maple tree, crimson, can almost hurt. It's so beautiful. And breath still swells. We're still being filled by the embrace of Sky Father and Earth Mother. And the tide reverses and starts to ebb out and ease and release. We feel the entire system emptying itself of consciousness, going back to Creator. And refilling the tide coming back in once again. I normally wait for this, what would you call it, tidal cycle, to do 2 or 3 repetitions so that I make sure that the system is up and running, is intact, and doesn't need any more support from me. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes. Come back into the room. And yet take your taproots with you. You will be taking these taproots with you wherever you go. That is what I've been shown to share with you all. I welcome your comments. I welcome your feedback. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Share this openly and freely. Many blessings as we move into another phase of life on Earth in the time of the pandemic, because it ain't over yet. All right. Many blessings to you. Good healing. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sitting through this, and you honor me and you honor my teachers.